Right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into Goldiam International.
Goldiam International.
Their Q2 FY25 performance.
Okay.
They're a really big player in the diamond jewelry world,
Yeah.
supplying a lot of the big retailers and wholesalers,
Mm-hmm.
primarily in the U.S.
Okay.
And we've got a bunch of stuff to go through today.
Oh, great.
We've got their investor presentation, we got the press release,
Cool.
we've got the financials.
Awesome.
So we're really going to dig in and see what we can uncover,
Yeah, sounds good.
see what's driving their success, maybe where they're headed in the future,
Love it.
all that good stuff.
Yeah.
What's really interesting to me
Mm.
is how Goldiam is sort of transforming itself.
Okay.
Almost like a,
Yeah.
caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
Uh-huh.
They're shifting away from this traditional focus on natural diamonds
Okay.
and really embracing two massive trends.
Right.
Lab-grown diamonds and, of course,
Mm.
the rise of online retail.
Yeah, what's really interesting here is how Goldiam is transforming itself. They're moving away from their traditional focus on natural diamonds and really embracing two massive trends that we're seeing: lab-grown diamonds and the rise of online retail.
Okay, so let's talk about this transformation.
Okay.
It's not just a buzzword, right?
know.
Their Q2 results show that a whopping 77% of their sales came from lab-grown diamond jewelry exports,
Wow.
compared to just 34% this time last year.
Yeah, that's a pretty dramatic shift.
It's a big jump.
It is, and it speaks volumes about Goldiam's ability to adapt to the changing market. And one of the key factors that's enabling them to do this is their backward integration strategy. So they've actually acquired a company called Eco-Friendly Diamonds. And this gives them control over the entire process, from creating the diamonds to designing and manufacturing the jewelry. It's like having a farm-to-table restaurant, but for diamonds.
So they're not just riding the wave, they're building the surfboard.
Exactly. This control gives them several advantages. First, it helps them manage costs and pricing, which is really crucial in a competitive market. Second, it gives them better control over their inventory. And this is particularly important because they utilize a consignment model where 63% of their inventory is actually held by their customers.
Consignment.
Yeah.
That's a pretty unique approach.
It is, and it's quite clever. Instead of holding all that jewelry in their own warehouses, they send it directly to their customers' stores. And they only recognize the revenue when that jewelry is actually sold. So this not only reduces warehousing costs for Goldiam, but it also minimizes their risk if the market fluctuates.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So they've got the lab-grown diamond trend covered. Now let's talk about this online boom.
Yeah.
Their press release says online sales made up 21% of their revenue in Q2.
This is another sign of Goldiam's adaptability. They're really embracing what's called an omni-channel strategy, which basically means they're catering to customers who shop both online and in physical stores. And what's interesting is that they're providing a full suite of services to their online retail partners, including things like .com production, fulfillment, and even drop shipping.
So they're basically acting as a one-stop shop for these online retailers.
Precisely. And this kind of flexibility in service is likely winning them a lot of business.
Okay, so far we've seen Goldiam's making some, pretty savvy moves.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get to the heart of the matter here.
Let's get down to it.
Their financials.
Okay.
Revenue growth seems a bit mixed this quarter, right?
Yeah.
Standalone revenue grew by a healthy 34%.
Mm-hmm.
But consolidated revenue only saw a marginal increase.
Right. And the press release attributes that discrepancy to shipment delays that were caused by flight cancellations to the U.S. So some of the orders were pushed back, but they were actually recorded in October.
Oh, okay. So it's more like a timing issue than a problem with demand.
Exactly. And when you look at the half-year figures, consolidated revenue actually grew by a solid 19.3%.
Okay, well, that makes a lot more sense then.
Yeah. And their EBITDA increased by 21% to $668 million. And their profit after tax, PAT, rose by 8.4% to $442 million.
So that's pretty impressive considering those external challenges.
Yeah.
And they're doing all of this while remaining completely debt-free.
Debt-free.
Their balance sheet shows a very healthy cash position of over $2,768.27 million.
It's a strong financial position.
Yeah.
And they're sharing the wealth with their shareholders. They've maintained their commitment to a 50% payout ratio, meaning half of their standalone PAT is returned to investors through dividends or share buybacks.
So for investors, that's a pretty clear signal of confidence in the company's future.
Yeah, it's a good sign.
Okay, so we've talked about the lab-grown diamond shift.
Yeah.
We've talked about the online boom and their strong financial performance.
Right.
But there's one more thing we need to explore.
Oh, what's that?
Their new venture in India,
Ah, yes, their foray into the Indian retail market.
Origin.
Origin.
This is where things get really interesting.
Tell me more about it.
Tell me more.
So Goldiam has launched Origin, an exclusive retail chain for lab-grown diamond jewelry. And they're starting right in their backyard in India. They opened their first store in Mumbai during the Diwali festive season, and it seems to have been a hit.
Yeah, their press release mentions that in just 10 days, they raked in about $2.5 million in sales from that one store.
Wow.
So that's a pretty good start, especially considering it's their first retail venture.
It is, and it speaks to the growing appetite for lab-grown diamonds in India. Goldiam's aiming to be the largest exclusive lab-grown diamond jewelry retail chain in India. They're planning to open 10 to 12 more stores in the next 6 months, so it's an ambitious plan.
Yeah, no kidding. But with their, experience in manufacturing and their understanding of the lab-grown diamond market,
Right.
they seem to have a pretty good shot at success here.
Yeah, it seems like they do.
I mean, this Origin venture
Yeah,
could be a real game changer for them.
it could. And that brings up a crucial question for you. Will Origin be the key to unlocking even greater success for Goldiam?
That's a great question.
Think about it this way.
Think about it this way. If Origin takes off
Yeah.
the way it seems to be,
Right.
it could completely change Goldiam's revenue structure.
Oh, really could.
They'd be adding a
Yeah.
whole new dimension to their business,
Yeah.
tapping into this
Huge market.
massive and growing market
Right in their backyard.
right in their backyard.
Exactly. The Indian jewelry market is huge.
Yeah.
And there's a growing preference for lab-grown diamonds.
Yeah.
Especially among younger consumers.
Yeah.
They're attracted to the ethical and sustainable aspects of it.
Right.
And of course, not to mention the affordability.
Right.
So for a brand like Origin,
Yeah.
that's a sweet spot.
And it's not just about the Indian market.
Right.
Is it if they can build a successful retail brand with Origin, they could potentially expand that concept globally.
Absolutely. They've already got the expertise in lab-grown diamonds,
Yeah.
the manufacturing capabilities,
Right.
and now they're gaining experience in retail.
Right.
It's like they're assembling all the pieces of the puzzle.
It's almost like they're creating their own ecosystem
Yeah.
from the diamond creation
Mhm.
to the final sale.
The whole value chain.
That level of control is pretty remarkable.
It is, and it gives them a significant competitive advantage.
Yeah.
They can control the quality, the pricing, the entire customer experience.
But let's not forget their core export business.
Right.
Their investor presentation highlights the U.S. as their key market.
Yeah, still a huge market for them.
Yes, and they've built a strong reputation
Yeah.
as a reliable supplier to major U.S. jewelry retailers.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, they refer to themselves as an OEM in the presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain
Sure.
what that means for those of us who maybe aren't familiar with the term?
OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer.
Okay.
And in this context, it means that Goldiam designs and manufactures jewelry for other brands who then sell it under their own labels.
Okay.
So it's a behind-the-scenes role,
Okay.
but a very important one.
So they're like the ghostwriters of the jewelry world.
That's a good analogy.
And it seems like they're doing it very well.
Yeah, they are.
Their investor presentation mentions that they've been focusing on providing omni-channel services to these retailers.
Yeah.
Basically, they're helping these brands navigate
Yeah.
the complex world of online and offline sales.
Right. Exactly.
So they're providing support for everything from website development to order fulfillment and shipping.
Exactly. It's a comprehensive suite of services that's designed to make life easier for their retail partners.
It seems like they're striking a good balance.
Yeah.
They're maintaining their strong export business
Right.
while simultaneously venturing into new territory with Origin in India.
They are. It's a classic example of diversification.
Yeah.
It's like a farmer who grows multiple crops to protect against the risk of a single crop failing. It adds resilience to their business model.
And their strong financial position, as we discussed earlier, gives them the resources to invest in both these areas.
Absolutely. They have a solid balance sheet,
Yeah.
no debt, a history of consistent dividend payouts. That's a pretty attractive package for potential investors.
And they've also been recognized for their there's strong corporate governance.
Yeah, that's important.
They have a diverse board of directors with a wealth of experience.
It suggests that they're not just focused on profits,
Right.
but also on building a sustainable and ethical business.
Yeah.
You know, transparency and good governance are crucial in today's world. And investors are increasingly taking these factors into account.
It's impressive how Goldiam is juggling all these different elements.
Yeah.
They're capitalizing on key trends. They're performing well financially.
Right.
And they're making strategic moves to position themselves for future growth.
Yeah, they're firing on all cylinders.
What stands out to you as their biggest strength?
I think it's their adaptability.
Okay.
They're not afraid to embrace change and try new things.
Yeah.
That's evident in their shift towards lab-grown diamonds, their expansion into online retail services,
Right.
and their bold move into the Indian retail market with Origin.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They're not resting on their laurels.
No.
They're constantly evolving, looking for new opportunities.
It's impressive.
But all this changing growth can't be without its challenges, right?
Right, of course.
What potential hurdles do you see them facing?
Well, one challenge will be managing their growth effectively.
Great.
You know, they'll need to scale their operations, maintain quality control,
Right.
and ensure they have the right talent in place.
Right. And as they expand Origin,
Yeah.
they'll be competing with established players
Yeah, lots of competition.
in the Indian jewelry market.
Fierce competition.
So they'll need to differentiate themselves,
Right.
build a strong brand identity
Yeah, to stand out from the crowd.
to really stand out.
Absolutely.
And they'll need to stay ahead of the curve
Yeah,
when it comes to consumer trends.
always evolving.
The jewelry market is constantly evolving. What's hot today might be out of fashion tomorrow.
Right. Exactly.
So what can we learn from Goldiam's journey so far?
I think their story highlights the importance of being adaptable and innovative. In a world that's changing faster than ever, companies that can embrace change and find new ways to create value are the ones that will thrive.
It also shows that even established players can reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
Goldiam's been around for decades,
For a long time.
but they're not afraid to disrupt their own business model to stay relevant.
It's inspiring.
And they're doing it in a way that's financially sound
Yeah.
and sustainable.
Very important.
They're not just chasing the latest fads.
Right.
They're building a business for the long term.
Well said.
Well, so overall, it seems like Goldiam is a company that's worth watching closely.
Definitely.
They've got a lot of things going for them.
Yeah.
And it'll be fascinating to see how they navigate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Agreed. And as we continue to follow their journey,
Yeah.
here's a thought to consider.
Okay.
Could Origin become a globally recognized brand? Could they leverage their success in India to expand into other markets?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Imagine if Origin became synonymous with
Yeah.
lab-grown diamond jewelry worldwide.
It'd be huge.
That would be quite an accomplishment.
It would indeed, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, given Goldiam's track record and ambition.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
We've seen how Goldiam is transforming itself, embracing new trends,
Right.
and making strategic moves to position itself for continued success.
They're setting themselves up for a bright future.
But before we wrap up, I have one final question for you.
Oh, good.
Think about the bigger picture here.
Okay.
What does Goldiam's story tell us about the future of the jewelry industry?
That's a great question to ponder, it seems to me.
It seems to me that Goldiam's story is a clear indication that the jewelry industry is undergoing a major transformation. We're seeing a shift in consumer preferences towards lab-grown diamonds, driven by, I think, factors like sustainability, ethics, and affordability.
That's a great observation. And Goldiam's success, particularly with their Origin venture, suggests that this trend is here to stay. And as technology continues to advance, lab-grown diamonds will likely become even more indistinguishable from mined diamonds, further blurring the lines between the two.
Right, and as that happens,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how the traditional diamond miners and retailers adapt. Will they embrace lab-grown diamonds? Or will they try to hold on to the old guard?
That's the big caution. Some players are already incorporating lab-grown diamonds into their offerings, recognizing that growing demand. Others might resist. Clinging to the perceived prestige and value of mined diamonds, it'll be a fascinating dynamic to watch unfold.
It's almost like we're seeing a parallel to what happened with the music industry.
Oh, interesting.
Remember when digital music first came on the scene?
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of resistance from the traditional record labels, but eventually they had to adapt, or they risked becoming obsolete.
Right. It's a great analogy. And just like the music industry evolved, I think the jewelry industry will find a new equilibrium. There will likely be a place for both lab-grown and mined diamonds, but the balance might shift significantly in the years to come.
And it's not just about the diamonds themselves, is it?
No, it's not.
It's about the entire customer experience.
Right.
Goldiam's focus on these omni-channel services suggests that retailers are really going to need to provide seamless experiences across online and offline channels.
Absolutely. Consumers are increasingly demanding convenience and personalization.
Yeah.
They want to be able to browse, research, purchase jewelry in the way that's most comfortable for them, whether that's online, in a store, or a blend of both.
It's a whole new world for jewelry retailers. They need to be tech-savvy, data-driven, customer-centric. Those who can master these skills will be the ones who thrive in this evolving landscape.
It's a challenging but exciting time for the industry, and Goldium, with its forward-thinking approach and willingness to embrace change, it seems very well positioned to navigate these waters.
So for those of us who are interested in following this story, what should we be paying attention to? What are the key indicators of Goldium's future success?
Well, keep an eye on the expansion of Origin. If they can replicate the success of their first store and build a strong retail brand, it could be a major growth driver for them.
Right, and watch how they continue to integrate lab-grown diamonds
Yeah,
into their export business.
yeah.
Can they maintain their strong relationships with U.S. retailers while also expanding their own brand presence?
It'll be interesting to see how they balance those two. Another key factor will be their ability to attract and retain talent. As they grow and expand into new areas, they'll need a skilled workforce to execute their vision.
And of course, we'll be watching their financial performance closely.
Of course.
Can they maintain their profitability while investing in these growth initiatives?
Right. Can they keep that momentum going?
Yeah.
Those are all important things to keep in mind. Goldima's story is still unfolding, and it's full of, intriguing possibilities. Their journey provides a fascinating glimpse into the future of the jewelry industry, and it'll be very interesting to see what chapters they write next.
Well said. So
Oh,
for our listeners, remember that Goldiam International is a company to watch. They're a dynamic player in a rapidly changing industry. And as their story continues to unfold, it will offer valuable lessons about adaptation, innovation, and the future of jewelry itself.
indeed. And as you follow their journey, keep in mind that the future of the jewelry industry isn't just about, diamonds and gold. It's about understanding and meeting the evolving needs of consumers in an increasingly complex world.
That's a great takeaway. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.